Hello, darlings. You are welcome to Z-Star Africa, your home of sizzling drama updates. This week on Jhanak is packed with shocking twists, heartbreaking goodbyes, and explosive revelations. From Arshi moving in with Siddharth and finally signing the divorce papers, to Appu's emotional final moments and a wedding date that sparks a revenge plot, nothing will ever feel or be the same again. And believe me, you don't want to miss a single twist in this drama explosion. Please like and turn on your notifications so you never miss any updates on your favorites. Now let's dive in. October 6th, 2025. The episode starts with Chotan coming to meet Jhanak as Anirudh planned a surprise visit. Jhanak invites him for lunch, but he says they can eat later and breaks the news. Arshi's leaving the beau's house. Jhanak checks in about Mrinalini, but Chotan avoids the question. Anirudh asks again, and Chotan finally shares that Mrinalini regrets marrying him. He never told her about his exams, and now she feels let down. Jhanak tries to reassure him, saying Mrinalini might feel proud when she finds out. Anirudh is disappointed Chotan kept it a secret. Chotan says he didn't want to burden her. Jhanak offers him water to calm down. Anirudh mentions they're doing fine, living in separate rooms. Chotan notices peace on their faces and encourages them to settle down. He also learns Arshi agreed to divorce. Jhanak tells him to patch things up with Mrinalini, but Chotan begs them not to tell her about the exams. Sarveshwar confronts Bipasha about Chirag taking Jhanak to a bar. Bipasha sends Anirudh to rescue her, but Sarveshwar doesn't trust her version. She begs him to believe her, and he agrees for now. But he demands she either come to Banaras in 10 days or find a replacement for Jhanak, or else she'll have to pay him monthly. At the beau's house, Arshi walks down with her luggage. When asked if she's going to Shrishti's place, she says no, and refuses to share where she's headed. Shubh asks for time to fix things. Arshi reveals she's already spoken to Anirudh about divorce and wants it finalized. He pleads with her to stay and punish Anirudh instead. Mimi points out Arshi is blaming everything on Anirudh, even though she's moving on with Siddharth. Arshi doesn't deny it. Anjana defends Anirudh, but Arshi stands her ground. She announces she's moving in with Siddharth. Shubh asks for 7 days, but Arshi says she's done being insulted. Tanuja says she'll cut ties with Anirudh if he marries Jhanak. Arshi walks out. Bipasha reminds her to talk to Siddharth about her job, but Arshi says she'll do it later. Siddharth welcomes Arshi. She admits she expected love from Anirudh and got betrayal. Back at Janak's, Chotan supports Anirudh's decision. He wants to tell the family about their marriage, but Jhanak stops him and asks him to bring Mrinalini instead. Chotan asks Anirudh to talk to her, but Jhanak says she'll handle it. He leaves, wishing them happiness. October 7th, 2025. This episode starts with Neil meeting Anirudh. Neil notices he looks cheerful, and Anirudh admits it's because he's with Jhanak. Neil says he's with Tejaswini just for namesake. Anirudh gently gives him advice on finding happiness in a marriage. Siddharth tells Arshi he loves her deeply. Arshi says her heart still aches from Anirudh's betrayal. Siddharth feels hurt but promises he'll never hurt her and supports her decision to divorce Anirudh. Arshi talks about wanting marriage, not a live-in relationship. Siddharth says he's willing, but worries his family won't accept her as a divorcee. He asks her to wait before filing, hoping to win over his family after he takes over his dad's business. Arshi shares her pain, saying Anirudh and Jhanak destroyed her life. Siddharth reassures her and tells her to focus on her career for now. He promises to stand by her no matter what. Anjana asks Chotan about his issues with Mrinalini. Mrinalini says there's no point discussing it, but Chotan shares how he told her to leave if she couldn't live with him. Anjana tries to understand both sides. Mrinalini says she asked him to study, and Chotan thinks it's more about pride. They argue, and Chotan says Mrinalini doesn't understand him. He tells Anjana he has an exam and must go. Mrinalini says she never meant to hurt him, but Chotan insists he knows how she feels. They bicker until Anjana intervenes. She scolds them for acting childish. When she asks Chotan where he was last night, he says he met Jhanak. Mrinalini wishes he had told her. Chotan says he has urgent work and leaves. Anjana asks about Jhanak, and Chotan says she's happy with Anirudh and wants him to return home. Anjana feels Jhanak will suffer and asks everyone to eat. Later, Siddharth tells Arshi to trick Anirudh, promise divorce on his wedding day, then back out. Arshi wants peace, but Siddharth insists Anirudh deserves payback. He lays out a plan: finalize the divorce and Janak's wedding on the same day, then pull back at the last minute. Arshi agrees and hugs him. She asks about their future, and Siddharth says he's ready to risk it all for her. Mrinalini gets emotional. Chotan reveals he took his exams, and today is the last one. She's moved and asks why he didn't tell her. He says he wanted it to be a surprise. When she asks if he's upset, he says her tears are enough to melt his anger. Jhanak video chats with Gauri and Siali. Anirudh joins in and wishes them for Baishak. The next morning, Jhanak dreams of marrying Anirudh. He tells her he's truly happy, and she promises to stay by his side. October 8th, 2025. The episode starts with Jhanak telling Anirudh she made healthy food for him. Anirudh playfully says he survives on the masala she adds. He pulls her close, and they tumble onto each other. When Jhanak asks what kind of masala he meant, Anirudh kisses her forehead and calls it love masala. She tells him he'll drive her mad, and he says he already is. He adds that he can't relax unless she's around. She tells him to stop being dramatic and drink his juice, but he insists they drink it together. At home, Chotan shares that Arshi is now living with Siddharth. Tanuja argues they can't blame Arshi when Anirudh is staying with Jhanak. Mrinalini says they should bring Anirudh back. Shubh says his son never listens, and Lail adds that Anirudh won't return anyway. Anjana says Anirudh will come back with Jhanak after divorcing Arshi. Dottie says she can't bear to witness all this. Mrinalini replies that divorce is common now. Anjana defends Anirudh, saying he's only with Jhanak because she's in danger. Shubh insults Jhanak, and Chotan scolds him for it. Dottie tries to stop the argument and asks Bablu if he can convince Anirudh to return. Bablu says he might, if they're ready to accept his terms. Tanuja blames Jhanak for ruining Anirudh and Arshi's relationship. Mrinalini reminds everyone that Arshi left Anirudh and is now in a live-in with Siddharth. Chotan says Jhanak is taking good care of Anirudh, and Bablu calls her the best choice for him. Dottie asks if they'll marry. Mrinalini supports the idea, saying Shrishti is Janak's biological mother and Arshi is her sister. Chotan confirms Anirudh plans to marry Jhanak after the divorce and says he doesn't need anyone's permission. Shubh isn't convinced it'll be easy. Mimi just wants peace for Anirudh and hopes he'll be happy with Jhanak. Bablu urges Shubh and Tanuja to let go of their egos. He says he'll attend Anirudh's wedding no matter what. Chotan asks Shubh to decide. Dottie says she still doesn't like Jhanak, but agrees the wedding should happen in their home. Bablu offers to bring the couple if Shubh agrees. Tanuja admits they don't have much of a choice. Chotan says he's going with Bablu. Elsewhere, Kajal wants to take Appu to the hospital for her headache, but Appu refuses, scared of injections. Jimli tempts her with paleo, but Appu doesn't fall for it and just asks for medicine. Kajal insists they can't medicate her without a doctor. Lalan promises Anuradha he'll earn and build a house. Appu says she's already saved money, and Anuradha replies Kajal is handling it. Kajal pushes Appu to study and settle. Appu jokes that Kajal should marry her husband then. Kajal scolds her, and Appu says she loves her sister so much she could give her everything. Kajal gets annoyed, and Appu argues that she earns too. When Kajal says she's saved around 4 to 5 lakhs, Appu declares she'll build a house for Anuradha. Later, Bablu brings Anjana and Mrinalini to visit Jhanak. Anirudh asks where Chotan is, but Jhanak signals him to stay quiet. Mrinalini notices and mentions Chotan had exams. Anirudh jokes about him being odd. Jhanak offers them something to eat. Bablu says they've come to take her home. Anirudh refuses, saying Jhanak won't be happy in the beau's house because of how much she suffered there. Mrinalini suggests setting a wedding date. Jhanak glances at Anirudh. October 9th, 2025. The episode starts with Bablu expressing his wish for Anirudh to get divorced soon so he can marry Jhanak. He mentions that since Arshi has left the house, getting the divorce should be easier now. Mrinalini joins in, saying they're all set to begin the wedding preparations. Jhanak, still unsure, asks if Arshi has really made her final decision. Anirudh firmly tells Jhanak that his decision is made. He won't go back to Arshi, even if she wants to return. Bablu is confident, saying Arshi's departure itself means she's ready for the divorce. Jhanak then sweetly asks everyone what they'd like to drink. Anirudh asks his parents if they will ever truly accept this marriage. Tanuja says they're only agreeing for his sake. Chotan points out that Arshi and Anirudh have chosen their own paths. Anirudh firmly says the wedding will happen. Shubh, sounding disappointed, asks why Anirudh needs their approval when he already has so many people standing by him. Amitabh says he'll speak to the priest about setting the date. Tanuja questions what will happen if the divorce doesn't go through before then. Anirudh says he'll talk to Arshi directly. Tanuja blames Jhanak for Arshi leaving. Jhanak calmly says Arshi made her own decision. Anirudh warns that if they continue insulting Jhanak, he'll leave the house again. Tanuja asks if he's trying to emotionally blackmail them. Anirudh says he just won't tolerate anyone humiliating Jhanak. Lail chooses to stay neutral, saying it's Anirudh's life, and he wishes the couple well. Anirudh taunts him, saying Lail changed after Bipasha betrayed him. He turns to Bipasha and assures her they won't take revenge. Bipasha says she did everything for his good. Anirudh mockingly tells her to mind her own life. Bipasha asks how he could insult her in front of Jhanak. He bluntly says he did it because he wanted to. Rimi declares she won't accept Jhanak as her sister-in-law. Anirudh shoots back, saying Jhanak won't show her any respect either. He tells Jhanak to relax and not take any kitchen responsibilities. He advises her to respect only those who treat her with kindness. Jhanak looks at Anirudh. October 10th, 2025. The episode starts with Chotan excitedly talking about the marriage preparations for Anirudh and Jhanak. He can't wait to rehearse for their wedding dance. Tanuja teasingly remarks that Chotan is acting like it's Anirudh's first marriage. Chotan insists it'll be a grand celebration. Anirudh, feeling the weight of the situation, says that despite the challenges, he will eventually win. Mrinalini takes Jhanak inside. The next day, Anirudh and Arshi meet in a cafe to discuss their divorce. Arshi tells Anirudh that he seems desperate for the divorce, and he admits he wants it because their relationship never worked. Arshi blames Jhanak for everything, but Anirudh insists that they were unhappy even before Jhanak came into the picture. He suggests they remain friends, but Arshi rejects the idea. She asks when Anirudh is getting married, and he flips the question back to her, asking when she plans to marry. Arshi says she will marry Siddharth after the divorce and asks for the divorce petition. Anirudh hands it over, and she signs it after a brief conversation about their failed marriage. Anirudh thanks her, and she remarks that he must be happy now. He agrees, saying they are finally on the same page. Arshi adds that she won't marry Siddharth until the divorce is finalized. Anirudh congratulates her, and they shake hands before parting ways. The next day, Chotan takes Jhanak and Anirudh to Mrinalini. Mrinalini tells Jhanak not to work in the kitchen, offering to help Anjana instead. She suggests they start planning for the wedding shopping, but Jhanak hesitates, wanting to wait for the right moment. Chotan reassures her everything will be fine. Anirudh mentions he has submitted the petition, and Mrinalini asks if Arshi is okay. He confirms that Arshi is happy with Siddharth. Jhanak, still anxious about the situation, asks what would happen if Arshi changes her mind. Anirudh urges her not to overthink. Mrinalini reassures Jhanak that everything will be fine this time. Later, Jhanak and Anirudh visit Appu, who teasingly says that Jhanak finally remembered her. Appu jokes about the upcoming marriage, and everyone laughs. Mrinalini informs them that the marriage date has been fixed, and Bablu will be bringing the invitation. Chotan asks if Anirudh's parents agreed, and Anirudh responds that they didn't have much choice. Kajal arrives and tells them that Appu has started writing. Jimli mentions that Appu has a program the next day, but isn't feeling well. Anirudh tells Appu to skip it, but she insists she needs to work to build a house for Anuradha. She expresses her desire to leave Lalan in Kajal's care when she passes, knowing that Kajal loves him dearly. October 11th, 2025. The episode starts with Appu expressing her deep love for Lalan, saying she's ready to leave him with Kajal if anything happens to her. She believes Kajal will take good care of him. Kajal scolds her for talking like that, but Appu insists. Doesn't Kajal love Lalan too? Lalan gently reminds Appu not to talk about such things. Anuradha asks Jimli to bring sweets for the guests, and Appu also wants some, but Kajal tells her she shouldn't be eating sweets. Chotan asks Lalan why he didn't go to work. Lalan says Appu had a headache, and he didn't want to leave her alone. Kajal points out how much Lalan cares for her. Mrinalini asks about the doctor's opinion, and Appu says they're still waiting for the test results. Anirudh tells her to get well soon, or her parents will worry. Appu pleads with him not to tell Anjana. When she reaches for sweets again, Kajal stops her and offers fruits instead. Siddharth introduces lawyer Abhijit to Arshi and says she and Anirudh are going for a mutual divorce. Arshi shares everything. How Anirudh met Jhanak in Kashmir, Urvashi's suicide, Tejas, and how Anirudh married Jhanak. She tells Abhijit that she married Anirudh and got pregnant, but blames Jhanak for losing her baby. Now, Anirudh is living with Jhanak at a friend's house. Later, Appu starts crying. Anuradha asks what's wrong, and Appu says it's because she mentioned death. Anuradha promises never to talk like that again. Kajal agrees and says Appu shouldn't say such things either. Appu says she's leaving everything in Kajal's hands. Arshi tells Abhijit that Siddharth helped her during her trauma and gave her hope. She's already signed the divorce papers. Abhijit questions her for giving up too easily, but Arshi says there's no point in holding on to Anirudh anymore. Abhijit says Anirudh's wedding and divorce might fall on the same day and suggests they take legal action against him. Arshi refuses, she just wants to move on. Siddharth insists Anirudh deserves to be punished. Abhijit walks out. The next day, Jhanak questions why they're spending so much. Anjana tells her to accept it, it's all out of love. Mimi says she wants to enjoy every function since she won't be visiting Beau's house after marriage. She blames her parents' actions for her pain and feels Anirban deserves someone better. Jhanak comforts her. Anirudh says things may be strict at first, but it'll all be okay. Anjana encourages Mimi to win over her in-laws. Mimi changes the subject and asks about the wedding date. Chotan asks Anirudh if he spoke to the lawyer. Anirudh says he spoke to Arshi. Mimi teases that he and Jhanak won't be allowed to see each other once the wedding festivities begin. Anirudh suggests grabbing a bite. Jhanak wants to cook at home, but Anjana tells her not to work in the kitchen. Mimi suggests dining out instead, and they all head to a restaurant, only to bump into Arshi and Siddharth. Arshi greets them, says they look nice, and asks if they're out shopping. Anirudh confirms, it's for the wedding. Arshi congratulates them and introduces Siddharth to the Beau's family as her friend. She introduces Jhanak too, and Siddharth says Arshi has told him a lot about her. Jhanak smiles and Arshi leaves with Siddharth. The next morning, Anirudh hugs Jhanak from behind. She yelps, asking what he's doing. He says his heart's racing and makes her listen to his heartbeat. Jhanak jokes she can't feel anything, but he hugs her tighter. She tells him to let go. He says she loves everyone but him. They talk about their past, and Anirudh says being with her now feels like a dream come true. Jhanak asks if he really loves her that much. Anirudh replies, no doubts, not even a little. That's a wrap for this week on Jhanak. Thanks for always supporting Z Star Africa. Much love.